I was with a friend a couple weeks ago at her house and she asked me, what's the deal with the Ninja CREAMI? I'm intrigued, I might want one for Christmas. What's your honest thoughts about it? So this is what I told her, and I'm going to be brutally honest with you too. At this point, I've had and been using my Ninja CREAMI for at least a year. I mean, last Christmas, it was really kind of a big deal. And so right before then, I started making content about it. And the biggest question is, do I regret buying my Ninja CREAMI? I'll answer that at the end, but let's just get into a couple of the things I told my friend. All right, so in a nutshell, yes, I do like my Ninja CREAMI. And at first I used it all the time because it was fun, it was new, it was novel, and I was having a lot of fun experimenting with it and making content for my readers, and I absolutely loved it. Yes, there are a couple things that bother me about it, and I've done videos on that, especially the worst thing about the Ninja CREAMI, which, spoiler, it's the lid, it's just terrible. It's the worst, but it's something that I can overlook for its pros. So the things that I really love about the Ninja CREAMI. I think the Ninja CREAMI is really good for anyone who needs any kind of a dietary accommodation. So that goes for dairy-free, gluten-free, keto, anything where you have to kind of modify or you have to look for specialty products in a grocery store versus just grabbing a pint of Ben & Jerry's. I also really like that the Ninja CREAMI comes in these manageable portions. That can be a pro or a con depending on how much you eat, but I like that you don't have to make an entire ice cream maker's worth of ice cream just to get a specific flavor, because then you can do something that, you know, when one pint has a specific amount of calories, or you can really like dial down on the nutritional facts for your pint that you're going to make. With that being said, there's definitely some things that are a con to the Ninja CREAMI. So I really struggle with this one. It's that you just have to think ahead and you have to prepare. So there's nothing easier than just going to the store and buying a pint of ice cream, and it's delicious and it's consistent and it's great. With the Ninja CREAMI, you have to think ahead at least 24 hours in advance, which, I mean, for the person who's super on top of it, like, that's no big deal. However, if you're like me and ice cream is just kind of like a treat that you want to have, you have to prepare your pints at least 24 hours in advance because you have to freeze them for that long. Ninja advises that you don't freeze them any less than 24 hours because they have to be frozen to a certain degree before you process them. Because of that, it's kind of difficult to have ice cream just on the fly whenever the craving strikes. You have to have these pints already made in your freezer. But I mentioned this to my friend because her family doesn't eat a lot of dairy, that making dairy-free ice cream in the Ninja CREAMI is so simple. You can use any type of milk alternative, you can use sorbets, and you can customize it to the very last detail to make it accessible and enjoyable for your family. So I think that is definitely something that's really good for anyone considering the Ninja CREAMI if you have some sort of dietary restriction where it makes it hard to find your favorite things at the store, and it's gonna save you a ton of money. Another thing about the Ninja CREAMI to consider is that there's a tiny bit of a learning curve. If you're not a natural cook or you don't like to really experiment, there are definitely recipes that you can get. The recipe book that the Ninja CREAMI comes with is actually a really good guide. However, if you don't really like to experiment very much and you just like to know exactly how to do things, you're going to be limited to the recipes that you can find online. I've done a bunch of experimenting, and I will tell you that there are some things that are really, really good that I've tried, and some things that were a total waste of time and money and that were really disappointing. One of the major things that I really dislike about the Ninja CREAMI is that it's like kind of a pain to clean. So it comes with a bunch of different pieces. It comes with this little main caddy where you put your pint in. So you put your pint in here, and you have to buy specific pints, which are usually out of stock and they're kind of expensive to buy, and you probably want to buy at least several of them. And then you have the lid for the pint, which you put on after it's done. But then you have to put on the little blade attachment to the actual lid, which, I mean, it's super easy to do. Put on the lid. Then you put this on with whatever frozen concoction you have. You put it into the machine, twist it on, turn it on, and then process. I've talked about this in other videos too, but the issue is once it processes, this lid is just covered in ice cream, and there's no real great way to clean the inside of this lid. And that's a problem because when you get dairy or milk, food, ingredients inside of this lid and you can't really clean it out very well, it starts to smell really bad. And that's just not appealing. It really kind of turns me off onto using it because I just don't want to clean it and I don't want to have to deep clean it a million times like I did in my last video. So anyway, it's just something to consider. I think that the newer models maybe have addressed this a little bit, but I know like the main premise of the machine is that it just processes through the lid. So I'm not sure about that. I think that it's kind of something that is just, I don't know if it was just overlooked, but it's definitely something I don't really like. So all that to say, do I regret buying my Ninja CREAMI? I would say I don't regret buying it. However, it's not something that I would probably run and buy again if it suddenly broke. It's been sitting in the garage for a little while. I haven't used it in a couple of months and it's kind of cumbersome to like just have in and out. It's not something that you just leave on the counter like an air fryer or a toaster or a coffee maker. It's not something that you would use every day, or at least not something I use every single day. So for the price, which it varies between like about 200, it's probably an average of $200 depending on like the model and the sale that you can find. I don't know if it's something that I would like absolutely buy again, but I am glad that I do have it because it's nice to make smaller portions of things. It's nice to have, you know, something to customize, like a protein creamy, or my favorite one is the Greek yogurt one where you just mix like some Greek yogurt with some sweetener, some sugar, some honey or whatever, and then freeze that, and then it tastes just like, or at least for me, I think it tastes better than a yogurt shop ice cream. So pros and cons, but at the end of the day, she's a good little, you know, she's a good little machine. I don't know if I would like die on a hill for her, but it is a great appliance. I'm not saying I hate it. I think it is great. So do with that information what you will. I do think that it can do a lot of good for a lot of people, especially those who have dietary restrictions. However, for the everyday user, I think it's kind of a fun, novel toy to use, but it's not something that you absolutely need to have, especially if you don't have a lot of space in your kitchen like me. It's not something that, I don't know, it doesn't stay inside my house. Let's just say it that way. All right, well, if that was helpful, I hope that you watch the rest of my Ninja CREAMI videos. I have a whole playlist right here, pros, cons, recipes, all the things that I wish I knew, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.